Let's do it. Welcome to today's let's try it again. Welcome to today's guided practice session, YouTube. What's happening? My name's Adam Maness. I'm here every Tuesday and Friday practicing with you. And as I was saying before we started here, I am on Open Studio Jazz every day. We have a Zoom call where we practice together. And it's just a really good way to kind of keep a daily touch with our instrument and with some interesting concepts that we may want to work on. So I'm going to tell you what and how to practice. Today we're working on a very interesting way to practice a minor 2-5-1. We're just going to do one key today because I really want you to think about these scales that we're going to work on and how to practice them. So usually when I teach how to play on a minor 2-5-1 to beginners, I've always started with the melodic minor scale. For those of you who don't know, a minor 2-5-1 in the key of C starts with a D half diminished, also called a D minor 7 flat 5, right? So the chord itself is D, F, A flat, and C, right? We have that minor third, that minor seventh, and then we have a flat 5 as well, right? Common 2 chord going to a minor tonic, right? The 5 is usually G7, but with some alterations. You can do G7 altered, and altered means it has the flat 9, sharp 9, flat 5, flat 13, right? Flat 5 or sharp 11. Altered is like give me all the alterations is how you might think of that. Everything is altered that usually can be, right? And then we have a C minor major 7 or C minor 6-9 is how I like to think about it. So again, F half diminished to G7 alt to C minor 6-9. Now usually I would teach that with this D half diminished, you want to use the D Locrian sharp 2 is sometimes what it's called. It's from the F melodic minor family, right? And it has an E natural in there, which is a little bit out of the tonality. And then for the G7, you can use G altered, right, which is from the A flat melodic minor family, right? G, A flat, B flat, B natural, D flat, right? That sharp 11 or flat 5, that E flat, and that F and that C, and then C melodic minor for that C minor 6-9. Nothing revolutionary about that at all. That's a standard way to do it. But I've been messing around with this now and trying to find a better way to teach beginners how to do melodic minor harmony or minor 2-5-1 harmony. And I've been listening to a lot of bebop and hard bop and post bop musicians, and I think I came across a sound that I like to teach better for beginners. And so I just want to introduce you to that right now. So instead of that Locrian sharp 2 on that D half diminished, right? Instead of having a scale with an E natural, right? We would usually use like an F melodic minor, right? D, E natural, F, G, A flat, which is the flat 5, important, B flat, C, and then we're back to D. Let's use just the regular Locrian. This is not also, this is pretty standard. So I'm going to bring up the chords. So for that D half diminished, D, E flat, F, G, this should be A flat. That's a mistake on the chart. A flat, B flat, C, and then D. Gotta have that A flat, right? So you could also think about this though as F Dorian. And the more I transcribe masters from the past playing these minor 2-5-1s, the more I realize that a lot of them probably are thinking about it as an F minor over D as opposed to a D half diminished. So you want that, again, apologies for the chart, that should read A flat, not A natural. So even though that 2 is a E flat, I think it's important that we start here before we get to the... It's a great sound, made popular by Bill Evans and players after that, but let's start with this E flat, having that regular Locrian on the 2. Now, for the 5 chord, we would usually do the altered. My problem with the altered in teaching beginners is that it doesn't have a very important note. We're going to C minor, and there's no C in the altered scale at all, right? In this G altered scale. It's beautiful. It works really well. Everything resolves just fine. But if I want to play melodies and if I want to build chords off it, it doesn't help me. If I want to do block chords with this, and play a melody that's maybe, you know, the head of a tune, it doesn't work great. So what can we do? Well, what a lot of people play is like the C harmonic minor starting on G, right? Which is G, A flat, B, C, D, E flat, F, G. But I want to add one more note. I want to add that sharp 9. So I have G, A flat, B, C, D, E flat, A. Right? This is also, by the way, coincidentally, maybe not so coincidentally, but this is the E flat 6 diminished scale, right? The Barry Harris 6 diminished scale was like an E flat major scale with a passing tone between the 5th and the 6th notes. Same notes. It's the same scale. Which kind of makes sense because C minor is the relative minor to E flat. So we're in that ballpark. But this scale, I think, can be a game changer for playing melodically and really inside the changes. This feels like C minor, right? We have that D natural, which is the 9 of C minor. We have the E flat, right? It's not the half full diminished where there's an E natural. It doesn't have the D flat, which is, it's a cool sound, and I still use it. I'm still going to use it all the time. But and we still have some of the meaty notes from the G7 altered, like the B flat, the A flat, the E flat. It's an octatonic scale. It's 8 notes, so it's nice and even. I've been playing around with the scale now for the last week, and I'm absolutely loving it. We're going to do another GPS on Friday where we do block chords over a minor 2-5-1, and I'm going to show you how this scale is like a game changer for playing melodies with block chords over a minor 2-5-1 with locked hands. So that's the scale we're going to use. We're going to call it this G7 flat 9 sharp 9 flat 13 scale. If someone, this is probably a thing already that someone else has written so much about, so if anybody knows, let me know here in the comments. And then for our 1 chord, we just have our C minor 6-9, our C melodic minor. Right? Minor 3rd, major 7, major 6. That is the same. That's the same as always. So, again, our D Locrian, you could also think about it, and I encourage you to maybe think about it as like an F minor 6 over D. To our G, right? G, A flat, B natural, C, D, E flat, F. Oh, it's so beautiful. There's the melodies you can create with this are endless. And then to our C minor 6, just the C melodic minor. So we're going to practice these things today. We're going to do something called scale running. Scale running is a really useful tool to really help map out what notes are available to us. So even if we're practicing patterns or licks or broken chords or intervals or whatever, we have to know what our options are, right? We have to lay out very clearly what I've been thinking of is like the topographical map of what our options are. So, you know, here we're going to have 1 bar of D half diminished, 1 bar of G7, flat 9, sharp 9, flat 13, right? They're very melodic dominant scale there, to a C minor 6. So what we're going to do is start very simply with just quarter notes. So for 1, 2, 3, 4. The only rule for this first attempt is that we have to stay within a half step or a whole step of the previous note. And we have to change scales when the chord changes. So we have here, we have a 1 bar of D half diminished. And by the way, there's a mistake on that chart. My apologies. It should be an A flat, not an A natural. So if we do quarter notes, right, F, G, A flat, B flat, when we get to that G7, we can go either to the B, right, which is now that G7 scale that you see there on the 5, or we can go to down to the A flat. You can switch directions anytime you want. That is completely up to you. So And then we switch scales when the chord changes. And then we switch scales when the chord changes to the C minor. 2 bars of C minor 6/9. Right? And then we switch scale back to that D half diminished. And every time the chord changes, we switch to the appropriate scale. I wish I could mark up. I wish I could mark up the first scale there should have an A flat. So let's practice that, right? I will just play some basic chords and a bass line, 1 bar each. Just start with quarter notes. And remember, the only rule is you have to switch scales when the chord changes, and then you have to keep quarter notes going. And you can change directions anytime you want. You can repeat notes. I mean, F works over all 4, so you could just hang out here for a while and then turn around at your leisure. D half diminished. I'll turn around here. G7. C. You know, it's not all going to sound perfect and perfectly clean, but the idea is that we are putting on our brains this map of what our available note choices are. So let's try it. I don't know why my voice got so high there. Let's try it. Just quarter notes. Even if this is easy for you, so let's see how easy it is, right? See how creative you can get. You can go all the way up. You can try to go all the way down. You can try to switch wherever you want. But again, it has to be within a whole step or half step of the previous note. And you have to switch scales when we switch chords. 1 bar of D half diminished, 1 bar of G7, 1 bar of C minor 6. Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and. Just quarter notes, nice and easy. Turning it around wherever you feel like it, but changing the scale with each chord. D half diminished, right? G7, C minor 6/9. 2 bars of that, and then 2, 5, 1, 2, 5, 1. 2, 5, 1. One more time. Here we go. All right. Okay, so we have just the basis for our entire practice session here. Scale running is a real thing that helps us map out our note choices over these different chord changes. Again, we're doing a minor 2-5-1 in the key of C. Right? That means D half diminished 7. Right, with this Locrian scale. Again, apologies, there's a little mistake in the chart. It should be A flat, not A natural. Then we're doing our 5 chord, right? G7, flat 9, sharp 9, flat 13. And that's this octatonic scale, right? Someone in the comments said it's called the Flamenco Scale. It's not the altered scale, right? We want to get away from the altered scale with this practice. We want to get something a little more melodic, a little more C minor-ish, right? That's what's so cool about this. It has those first 5 notes of C minor, and then it has a nice, super fun, super melodic to play with. You can just really lean in on the C minor sound. And then our C minor 6/9 chord, we're going to use our C melodic minor. That's C, D, E flat, F, G, A, B, and back to C, right? Okay, so we just did quarter notes where we stayed within a half step or a whole step. Let's stay with quarter notes for a little while longer. Just at least one more here. Let's do quarter notes. And let's do thirds. We've been practicing this in the daily guided practice session, right? This is kind of the next logical step. Again, we're changing the scale when the chord changes. So a bar of that half diminished. So nice. And then the idea, again, is that we are mapping out our note choices over each one of these chords. Let's try it. I'll play the bass and some chords for you, so don't worry about that. If you want to do left-hand chords, if that helps, do it. But just keep it in thirds in quarter notes. So the quarter notes are 3, 4. And you're changing scales when the chord changes. Again, it's not going to sound like you're soloing. It's going to sound like you're learning what notes go over the chord, which is what we're doing. You can go up or down. We're just doing thirds, though. Practice with me. Let's do it. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and. Again, just thirds, changing the scale when we change the chord. D half diminished, G7, C minor 6/9. D half diminished, G7, C minor 6/9. And you can change direction on these anytime you want. In fact, it's fun to try to mix it up so it doesn't get monotonous. The idea is that we want to get the notes intentional. So we're playing the notes from one of these scales over these chords when the chord changes. One more time. Here we go. Crunchy. That's a crunchy Hammer 88 right there. Okay, cool. So you might notice that was exponentially tougher than just running it one after the other. You have to have a greater awareness of space to be able to do that. So let's take it one step further and get even spacier. Let's do triads. And let's not stay till quarter notes. So we'll keep that same tempo. But let's space it out a little bit. We'll do triads and we'll do it in groups of 3. And we can go as fast as we like. There's no rule. You don't have to do quarter notes or eighth notes. You can really just do whatever you want. But there is still the same rule that you have to switch scales when we switch chords. This is going to be fairly intense. So that's probably what I would be comfortable with starting out here. But you can leave more space. You can just do one. In fact, I encourage you to maybe just start with just one triad per chord. One maybe per bar. But switch for each one. Because it forces you, again, to have that more intense relationship with the space of each scale and what notes are available. Again, we think about it as a map. This is our road map for what notes are available for us to improvise with, whether that's scales, intervals, triads, whatever it may be. And this is another step in that. So just pick one triad per bar. See if you can make it happen. I'm having fun playing the bass, so we can just do this all day. I don't care. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and... Two, 5, 1, 2, 5. Again, just triads here. Switching scales when we switch chords. Whew. Just hang out somewhere. Yeah, you can either switch up the distance, stay close to home, or you can try to go far away from each other. Five, 1, 2, 5, 1. Again, on this D half diminished, there should be an A flat there. There's a little error on the notation. My apologies for anybody just coming in. Triads, changing the scale when we change the chord. One more time. One more time. All right. Okay, one more level of this very structured practice, then we'll get a little bit more free with it, okay? So for the final level, let's do broken seventh chords. What do those look like with these scales? You might just start here and just take a minute. What are the seventh chords for this Locrian scale? Again, on the D, my apologies, there should be an A flat, not an A natural. Right, there's some funky stuff in there. Might help to think about this as F Dorian, as you probably have more experience thinking about Dorian than you do Locrian. And then for that G7, I like to think about these starting as diminished chords. There's some funky stuff in there too, but you can really just pick any 4 notes that are a third away or so. Or any 4 notes really of this scale. And then our C melodic minor. Should be pretty obvious. So broken 7th chord. So this is like we started with scale tones, then we did thirds, and then we added another triad, or we added another third to a triad, and then we're going to add another third so that we have a broken 7th chord. Let's try it. I'll play the bass. I'm having such a good time doing it. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and 2, 5. And you might just start with 1, just like we did with the triads, right? Find your shape, and then just play that. Broken 7th chords here. Last time. All right. I love these scales so much. They sound so good. So just to review, before we do some free play with this, the D, half diminished, right? We're going to use a Locrian. So again, there's a little error in this notation. It should be A flat. So D, E flat, F, G, A flat, B flat, C, D. I challenge you to think about this, though, as an F minor 7, right? Think about this as an F Dorian. It's almost like you're starting a 2-5 to E flat, but you're going to its relative minor instead. That can be a really cool way to get more of a inside and bebop sound. That's how those guys were thinking about it. The G7 flat 9 sharp 9 flat 13 it looks like a complicated chord, but this is my simplification. Some people here on the chat have been calling this the flamenco chord and some other really interesting things. I was never taught this scale, but I've been messing around with it as a way to stay inside the changes, to really stay in a C minor tonal center as we're playing our minor 2-5, instead of doing like an altered, which doesn't even have a C. The altered scale that leads to C minor doesn't have a C. How are you supposed to play melodies that are that far out? No, it sounds great. It does. I mean, I use it all the time. It has its purpose for sure, but I think this is a good option too if we want to get a little bit more melodic. And then our C melodic minor. So let's just do one more play along. Let's do a completely open session. I'll play the bass and some chords, and just see what happens. Don't think about these scales, actually. Just see if they come out. Just kind of want to see if working on them in that way of scale running and in thirds and fifths and sevenths is a way to make it happen. Let's try it. Again, don't think about anything. Just play the changes. A bar of D half diminished, a bar of G7, flat 9, sharp 9, flat 13, and a bar of C minor 6, 9. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Oh. Just having fun. More time. Last time. Here we go. All right, yos. Thanks very much for your practice today. That was super fun. Yeah, I'm super into that scale on that dominant chord going to the minor. I think it's got a lot of possibilities for taking you out of the very typical thing to do. There's some cookie cutterism in jazz education, as we all know. Nobody's immune to it, including me. And so, but let's try to get beyond it. Let's try to come up with our own things, or at least maybe things that are new to us and get us out of our shell of, I always have to play the altered scale on a dominant chord going to a minor chord. Not the case. Not the case at all. Thank you all for your practice today. Super fun. And yeah, just going to check the comments. I think we're all good. Happy practicing, folks. Oh, check out the link to go check out openstudiojazz.com. We do this every day. If you're a member of the Piano Access Pass, not only do you get every piano course that we have, but you can practice with me every day at 1 p.m. Eastern over on Zoom. Ask questions. Got a great group in there. Thank you, everybody, for practicing with me on all these sessions today. Fun, fun, fun. Come check us out. Yes, there are some issues with seventh chords with the G octatonic scale, for sure. Thanks, Amy. Thanks, Judah. See you next time. Nice singing on the thirds and the fifths, Judah. And come hang with me on Friday, because I'm taking these exact scales and we're going to make some block chords out of them, and I'll show you where it really starts coming together like that. Thank you, Ann. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Cosmic Flow. Thanks for your practice, Alex. Thanks, Nicole. It was cool. Look out for all the scales, picking stones. So true. Taco time. Awesome. Right on, everybody. Amy's got a good point with the All Access Pass, the Piano Access Pass. You can see all of the guided practice sessions at any time. Thank you for the walking bass compliments. I've been working on it since I've been doing these guided practice sessions, accompanying you all. It's fun. I want to be a decent rhythm section for you as your practice. So I think about that. Glad you can join us, Amy, live. Super fun. Super duper fun. All right, y'all. Have a great Tuesday. Oh, hey, check us out. We're listening to some music tonight on the Sesh. Come back here to this YouTube channel, 8 p.m. Eastern. All right. Later, folks.